One morning, in the 2nd century AD, the most powerful man in the world, Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, was awakened by his servant. Perhaps he was camped in a cold German battlefield tent, or on a rugged journey spanning the empire from Asia Minor to Syria, Egypt, Greece, and beyond. The sun had not yet risen. Outside, the world was dark, still, and cold. Like anyone, he felt the natural reluctance to leave his warm bed, drawn to the comfort of staying under the blankets a bit longer. But he reminded himself, was I made to stay wrapped in comfort, doing nothing? Reflecting on the birds, trees, ants, and bees, each playing its role in the world, Marcus recognized that to ignore his duties would be to deny his human nature. This inner dialogue, captured in Meditations, speaks to a universal experience, that early morning struggle to begin the day when returning to bed seems like a more tempting option. It's almost humbling to think that even the most powerful leader of his time had to confront this very human impulse to delay the inevitable call to work. And so, he would push himself up, place his feet on the cold floor, and start his day like the rest of us. This is a powerful reminder. Wake up early, don't delay, and start your work. Philosopher Ryan Holiday has said that morning decisions set the tone for the entire day, even shaping the person we ultimately become. Take the example of the renowned author Toni Morrison, who would wake while it was still dark, make a cup of coffee, and sit down to write. In that quiet pre-dawn hour, she dedicated herself to her craft, repeating this ritual for years. And she's not alone. Millions of busy, goal-driven people have adopted the practice of early mornings because it offers a rare window of calm and focus, free from distraction, when all their energy can go toward meaningful work. For Morrison, the dawn was a symbolic beginning, both practical and spiritual. Early in her career, she was a single mother of 2 young sons, with most of her days filled by a demanding job as a magazine editor. The remaining hours were for her children, and by evening, her creative energy was spent. The early hours became her only sanctuary, those precious moments between darkness and daylight, before the calls of mom or the demands of work, bills, dishes, and daily life. In those quiet hours, she could be fully herself, with a mind fresh and free, able to focus on her creativity and art alone. At that time, newly divorced at 34, Morrison was just beginning her first novel. As one of the few black women in a field dominated by white men, she understood her dual responsibility, to her children and to the work that lay unfinished. Even with later accolades, the National Book Award, the Nobel Prize, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, she held tightly to her identity as both a devoted mother and a successful writer. This was a balance achieved only by those early mornings. Waking early was rarely easy, even for those who knew it helped them. Resisting the comfort of sleep is a challenge for everyone, not only for non-morning people. Yet, disciplined individuals learn to prioritize energy for their work, relationships, and themselves. Recognizing that quality sleep of 7 to 8 hours each night isn't just an indulgence, it's essential. It fuels the hours before the world stirs, making mornings the most productive time, uninterrupted and free from the distractions that fill the rest of the day. The writer Ernest Hemingway famously rose early, noting that mornings were when no one would disturb him. One can imagine that, even on those mornings when he was tired from a night out, his productivity may have wavered. It's a thought-provoking reminder that even the greatest minds could likely achieve more if they began each day with purpose and constancy. Studies show that mornings are often the most confident time of day, when our minds are clear of the clutter that builds up throughout. In contrast, by evening, many are drained, less motivated, and creativity wanes. Top leaders and managers have often shared that they start their days with exercise, capitalizing on this peak energy. Jack Dorsey, CEO of Square and founder of Twitter, regularly starts his day with meditation and a 6-mile run, a routine that energizes him and provides mental clarity for the day. This time of reflection and activity in the morning isn't incidental. There's a reason why people make space for reading, meditating, and thoughtful preparation as they begin the day. Morning is when the world is quiet, the mind is uncluttered, and time feels expansive. Starting early is a routine that has shaped history, fueling some of the most enduring works and ideas. They knew that if they didn't act now, the time might never come. Rising at dawn, harnessing those pre-dawn hours when the world is still quiet, when no one else is awake, and the earth is cloaked in slumber, they embrace the calm to set the tone for the day. In our modern world, daily routines have evolved dramatically, yet one core principle remains timeless: the power of early rising. One of the key morning habits is staying away from phones. Instead of immediately diving into emails and social media, it's far more beneficial to spend this time on physical activity, perhaps a gentle walk or a light workout. Following this, journaling helps organize thoughts, paving the way to focus on the day's most crucial task. After tackling this priority, only then should one consider checking messages or taking a moment for light entertainment. Historical figures have also revered early mornings. Jonathan Edwards, a celebrated theologian, once noted that God encourages early rising, lending a spiritual quality to those first morning hours. Perhaps this is because it connects us to an ancestral rhythm, echoing the dawn rituals of our ancestors who woke to pray, farm, fetch water, or travel across deserts before the sun's heat became too intense. Yet a productive morning requires thoughtful preparation the night before. Consider boxer Floyd Patterson the night before his title fight. His most critical training element wasn't strategizing over previous matches or reviewing tactics, but something simpler: sleep. He didn't just sleep a little. He turned in at 11:30 p.m., then slept another 3 hours the next morning before the fight. This rest fueled him to outlast an exhausted champion, winning in the 5th round. When facing a legend, it's essential to prioritize rest. While others worried over game plans, Patterson understood what was crucial. This kind of alertness doesn't come from exhaustion or relying on coffee. Rising early is powerful, but if Morrison had stayed up gaming until 4 a.m. or scrolling Instagram, she could hardly have expected to seize her morning. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius's internal debates about staying in bed wouldn't have had the same weight if he'd slept just a few hours the night before. In reality, after a full day of making dinner, putting kids to bed, clearing emails, the instinct to collapse onto the couch is strong. But what's truly needed is sleep. Quality rest resolves many issues. It restores energy, curbs procrastination, and lessens the need for stimulants like coffee or energy drinks. This foundation of rest allows us to make wiser decisions, dedicating our limited time to meaningful pursuits. Some may say, "I'm just not a morning person," but often, it's not about nature, but discipline and how well they've harnessed the previous evening. Owning your morning starts by owning the night. Dante famously said, "Glory cannot be found under warm blankets." The irony, however, is that sufficient, consistent, and timely sleep is crucial for waking up refreshed and inspired. Seneca, too, advised that each night before sleeping, we reflect on the possibility that we might not wake the next morning. Those who live fully understand that each morning is a blessing. And on days when rising feels tough, we can remind ourselves of our goals, the traditions we carry, and the commitments that await us. We can think of figures like Marcus Aurelius or Toni Morrison and be grateful for the gift of waking up, which, after all, is the better alternative to a reality everyone must ultimately face. It's a joy to do what we love, to cherish each moment, and to use our time well while we still have it. If you found this content helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and leaving a comment. Your support will significantly help in growing the channel and spreading these videos. Thank you, and see you next time.